forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know I send me a fickle flee. Me have to take away myself. Me have to take away myself. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight. Me have to take away myself. Have to take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Show the eye clean berries. I said, yeah, I find you very hard to resist. But this relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I play me, I play you, but soon you're gonna see the light of day. Just relax, don't move an inch. I'll be gone in a pinch. May I feel take away myself. May I feel take away myself. May I feel hide like a thief in the night. May I feel get out of sight. May I feel take away myself. Take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Show the eye a clean berries. I say, yeah. Been there, done that, don't need it again, yeah. I'm not a masochist who won't play your game, yeah. To all you move, you off me way to the core. Sayonara, the hot girl gone through the door. Take away ourselves. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Stand up on the body, girl, let me take away ourselves. Take away ourselves. Stand up on the body, girl, let me take away ourselves.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. And this is just Julie Franco, and I will be linking up with Flavius in just a few minutes. Today we have a very, very special guest in our chat session, and it's none other than Ambassador Mr. David Comissiong. Yes, he will be joining us in our chat session this morning. So we want you to sit back, relax, enjoy. If you're having your favorite tea, I hope you're enjoying it. So in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with another song so we can link up with Flavius. And then we get right into Did You Know? And some Caribbean news. So a lot of things going on. So we're going to give you this one from Mr. Wayne Arman. It's all right. A lot of countries have been opened up in North America and in Europe. And the Caribbean is also preparing. I know Jamaica will be open up on Monday. So in the meantime, just listen to this song.
Tomorrow is another day. It's alright. It's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away. Watch them This tribulation I go in, but remember Jonah in the belly of the whale and Daniel in the lion's den. It's alright, it's okay. Just hang on a little bit longer, cause tomorrow is another day. It's alright, it's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away. I say time of a wait, we test your faith, so you got to have enough endurance. One day at a time, just keep on trying, cause time carry no insurance. No matter how the situation hard, things can only get better. Just have some faith, everything will go great, cause nothing ever lasts forever. And you pray to the Father when this tribulation I go in, but remember Jonah in the belly of the whale and Daniel in the lion's den. It's alright, it's okay. Just hang on a little bit longer, cause tomorrow is another day. It's alright, it's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away. It's alright, it's okay. Just hang on a little bit longer, cause tomorrow is another day. It's alright, it's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away.
Hi, this is Pam Hall, and I'm inviting you to hang out with Flavius and Franco on the Real Stuff podcast. They're such great company.
Clean hands and clean heart. I used to the face of the master. Wanna remember. Give me now. Culture that one more time. Me say them heart no clean. Them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It a fig one, my friend. Them heart no clean. Them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It a fig one, my friend. Just be careful when you're touching on the street, because the vultures them hungry and a look meat for eat. Be careful when you're rolling on the street, because the shot of them not even a pure shot of beat. And them a get casket and breathe. But me a big mass, I got no give them no chance to eat. Cause the youth them off for school, and mama off for eat. And the mission when me dip on round and not complete. Them heart no clean, them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It a fig one, my friend. Them heart no clean, them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. Hey, well me say Bonnie and Bobo them a brother. Hey, Bonnie work hard but Bobo him a taker. Me want him tell him put him up together. Hey, him say culture me a for rich, me a climb up the ladder. Me hear him buck up in a bad weather. Yo, because him this a wicked man from over the border. See, they know him little brain scatter. Yo, them are no clean, them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It's a fig one, my friend. Them are no clean, them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It's a fig one, my friend. Yo, cause you mat your mark and me salute down to Dan. And don't forget to send praises to the man. Your heart a fi clean, your have to carry clean hand. Fi rally round Jaja salvation. Them heart no clean, them bad mind. It is if you know, cause there is always a sign. But life a fig one round them. It a fig one, my friend.
One drop
This is your very own sports, music, and lifestyle podcast with Flavius and Franco. Welcome.
Yeah. Make the world your vision. Break down every barrier. Look and see with your heart. We're no different from each other. If you live and you love, it's a blessing that brings us together. Together. One drop of love. One drop of love can move a mountain. One drop of love can turn rain into sunshine. One drop of love can make a baby smile. One drop of love can lift our spirits high. Love begins right now, so give someone a helping hand. Equality for everyone, moving in one direction, building trust for a solid foundation. Willing hearts make a stronger, stronger nation. Ooh yeah, one drop of love, one drop of love can move a mountain. One drop of love can turn rain into sunshine. One drop of love can make a baby smile. One drop of love can lift our spirits high. Feel with your heart, hear with your soul, never lose control. You should open your eyes and realize that you are not alone. In a harmony of voices that's united in every way, chanting and singing.
One drop of love. That's how we want more love, more unity. Because we see what's happening in the world. So we need more love, more unity. Flavius, welcome this morning. How you doing? Seems to be having some problem with Flavius this morning, some technical difficulties.
Wisdom and understanding guide us to a better way. No one said it would be easy, but we're gonna make it, believe me. In life for future generations, put your one drop love in motion. One drop of love can move a mountain. One drop of love can turn rain into sunshine. One drop of love can make a baby smile. One drop of love can lift our spirits high. One drop of love can move a mountain. One drop of love can turn rain into sunshine. One drop of love can make a baby smile.
One drop of love. It seems we're having some problems this morning with Flavius, but as soon as we iron that out, we're going to be linking up with him with some Did You Know? And then from there on, we bring in our special guest this morning for our chat session. So, in the meantime, I want you to remember to spread the word. Tell your friends and all your friends that we have a podcast going on live and direct on YouTube channel. And it's The Real Stuff. Yes, it's a Real Stuff podcast. And it's all about the Caribbean. Yes, we're dealing with the Caribbean, Caribbean culture, Caribbean history. Everything is Caribbean. And our guest this morning is from the Caribbean. Legos jump. We got Flavius with us this morning. Morning, Flavius. Morning, Flavius. Flavius.
Morning.
We're not getting you. We're not getting you. We're not getting you.
Hello.
Are you there now? Yes, indeed. We are Flavius now. Flavius, how you doing? Morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
How is everything?
Very good. A lot of things happening. We have sunshine, and we are today is Tuesday, second day of the week. We're trying to cope,
True.
But I got a petition request last night.
A petition request, yeah? I saw it.
Yeah. I sent it to you, though? Yeah, I think I sent it to you. Yeah. I heard about this thing. I heard about it probably about 2 years ago. But I don't know what these people are up to. These people are, I don't know, it's like they're closing. As a few years ago, Scotia Bank closed all its branches in St. Mary except one. And it caused all kind of hardship.
Okay.
And now NCB is the only bank around this side. Well, there's a Jamaica National. I don't know what they are up to. But it will pose a lot of problems for people. Tremendous problem, and I really don't see the reason.
So they want to do away with the bank?
Yeah, they're closing the branch, yeah. I think a lot of branches will be closed.
Oh, it's because of the COVID, man.
No, like I say, I heard about this 3 years ago.
Okay. But the COVID just kick it in, Maybe the boy just keeping it until...
Yeah, then just waiting.
Yeah.
Until something happens. I really don't know what's the real problem.
Anyway, so what do you have for us on Did You Know this morning?
Okay, give a minute. As we go around the Caribbean, Am I back on now?
Yes, you're back. You're back. You keep going in and out. But you're back. You're online still. Go ahead with the did you know, man.
So and this is based on traffic.
Okay, go ahead.
And coming in at number 10 is a grand. You're surprised with the airports that.
Hey, Flavius, we miss out a lot. We miss out a lot from you, you know. We miss out a lot.
With what?
The last time we hear you when it's coming in at number 10.
Yeah, that's all. Barbados.
Okay.
Airport.
Okay.
Grantley Adams Airport.
All right.
In Barbados.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that people will be surprised that they are the ones that actually made the list.
Okay.
Okay, number 9, we are at Pointe-à-Pierre, Lerazic Airport. And this is in Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is a French territory in the Caribbean. And we're going to go to number 8. Yes, number 8 is a Queen. Number 7.
We're having major problem with it this morning. But keep going. To get better.
Number 6, Las Americas International Airport. And that is in Dumrep. And we go to number 5. Linden Pingling International Airport, Nassau, Bahamas. Remember, these are the busiest airports in the Caribbean by traffic, the human traffic that comes through the airport. Number 4 is the Sangster International Airport, Montego Bay, Jamaica. We are going down. Dominican Republic again. So they have 2 in the top 10. So lots of flying is happening there. And for number 1, this is Luis Munoz Martin International Airport. And this, you guessed it, Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico is the busiest airport in the world. I mean, in the Caribbean.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
followed by Domrep. Domrep have 2 in the top 10, and Jamaica have 1, Barbados 1 coming along. Smaller islands don't really get featured because they don't have that amount of traffic. You know, even some that I thought we would have made the top 10 didn't, like Saint Martin. You know, I thought they were further up the line, but not so. Kingston is way down the line. But that's the top 10. You want me to go through them again?
Yeah, run through it fast. You don't have to, just run through it fast because we miss out a lot.
Okay, let me just go through it.
Yeah, go through.
I can't really do it fast.
No, you don't have to tell. You can't just say number 1, number 2,
Number 10 is Grantley Adams in Barbados. Number 9 is Pointe-à-Pierre in Guadeloupe. Number 8 is Queen Beatrix International Airport, and this is in the ABC island of Aruba. Number 7 is Piarco International in Trinidad and Tobago. Number 6 is La Americas International Airport, and this is Dominican Republic. That's their first entry. That is number 6. They have number 6 and number 2. Number 5 is Linden Pingling International Airport in Nassau, Bahamas. Number 4, Sangster International in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Number 3 is Osemati International Airport in Habana, Cuba. And number 2, from the Dom Rep again, is Punta Cana. Like I said, Dom Rep has 2 in the top 10. And of course, from Puerto Rico, the busiest airport in the Caribbean, Luis Monzon Martin International Airport. So now we know where the traffic is going in the Caribbean, the heavy traffic as far as air travel is concerned.
True.
And if you look at the screen, you will see those images do not reflect the top 10. They reflect what they call nice hotels. Some of the nicer hotels in the Caribbean. I would imagine, the building, how it looks and all that. And some of them really look very nice. Some different designs and all that.
True.
So there you have it. Now we know where all the traffic is going in the Caribbean.
Absolutely. And in case you never know, now you know.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Flavius.
Yes, I'm here.
You can go ahead and introduce our special guest this morning.
Good morning, David.
Yes, good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we are very happy that you are. Mm-hmm. Okay, listeners, this morning we have a very special guest, a very special Caribbean man, Mr. David Comissiong. He is the Barbados ambassador to CARICOM. And he's here with us today to speak to us about CARICOM and where it's at today. Where's that today?
Mhm.
Franco, you can read out some of that thing for me?
Oh, yes, I can read
About,
it. Hmm?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. David Comissiong was born on the 17th of April 1960 in the Caribbean island of St. Vincent, the son of a traveling Methodist minister of religion. David received his primary education at Tranquility Primary School in Trinidad before attending Harrison College and the University of the West Indies in Barbados. He won a Barbados exhibition in 1979 and the Sir Fred Phillips Academic Prize at the Faculty of Law, University of the West Indies in 1981, and has been a practicing attorney at law since 1984. David Comissiong is a former senator in the government of Barbados and is currently Barbados ambassador to the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and to the Association of Caribbean States, ACS. He is also a founder member of the Caribbean Pan-African Network, that is CPAN, and the Global African Congress, and was an architect and the first director of the Barbados government's Commission for Pan-African Affairs. He represented the Caribbean region at the 7th Pan-African Congress in Uganda, in Uganda in 1954, played a key role in
94.
in 94. Well, it's a type error there.
Before he was born.
I was wondering too, in 1994, played a key role in the United Nations World Conference Against Racism in South Africa in 2001, and has represented the diaspora of the African Union's Economic, Social, and Cultural Council. Between 2012 and 2018, Mr. Comissiong served as a member of Barbados National Task Force on Repatriations. He is also the author of The Wide Streets of Tomorrow, essay and speeches on Barbados, the Caribbean and the African diaspora, and of the healing of the nation. The case for repatriation is an era of recession and recolonization. Ladies and gentlemen, there you heard some of the outstanding credential of our guest this morning. First, I must thank you for being here with us, for taking time out of your busy schedule, and for spending some time with us in our chat session.
Yes, well, it's a pleasure. I always embrace any opportunity to speak about the Caribbean integration movement and to try to promote an ideology of regionalism.
True.
So it's my pleasure.
Okay, Flavius, let's talk.
Yes, David. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what CARICOM is and what it should be doing and what it is actually doing?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's kind of go to the root. We begin with the collapse of the West Indies Federation in 1962. We remember we were colonies in 1958. They came together under the British colonial office, established the West Indies Federation. Eventually, Jamaica pulled out. Trinidad followed suit, and as a result of those two major West Indian territories pulling out, the whole thing collapsed.
Okay.
1962, and Jamaica went to independence. Trinidad went to independence. So out of that state of collapse, some forward-thinking leaders, people like Mr. Errol Barrow, for example, the then Premier of Barbados, and Mr. Forbes Burnham of Guyana, they knew that we had to try to rebuild a Caribbean integration process. So they came up with the idea of, okay, let's start very simple. Let's start with a free trade area where we just remove the barriers to trade among our countries, and the integration was a big political union where we had come together as one nation politically. That's the highest level of integration. So they started at the lowest, just a simple free trade area, which we call CARICOM. So they signed the CARICOM agreement in 1965, and they launched the CARICOM in 1968. And then everybody joined CARICOM. And after operating the CARICOM, this little free trade area, for a few years, they decided that they needed to make it a little deeper. So by 1972, CARICOM had evolved into the Caribbean Community, CARICOM.
Okay.
And this is where they've now gone beyond just a little free trade, and they said, look, we're going to have a common market. So we're going to set up a common external tariff, a common external tax against outside countries sending in their goods to us, and we're going to reserve this market for ourselves, for our companies and so forth. We're also going to do functional cooperation. We're going to look at these things that it's kind of difficult for each little territory to do themselves, and we're going to come together and we're going to agree. So we're going to create our own regional institutions to deal with various things. And also, whether you have the Caribbean Development Bank or you have the Caribbean Examinations Council or the Caribbean Association for Public Health. And right now, we have 18 regional institutions that carry out this functional cooperation. And we have 7 associate institutions of the region that also carry out the functional cooperation. Then thirdly, they said, well, we're also going to try to come together in the area of foreign policy. And we're going to try to come up with a collective approach to foreign policy. So rather than every little country running off and taking its own position on foreign affairs, we're going to try to speak with one voice. And the first thing that they did, you remember, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago, in 1972, the first collective foreign policy initiative they had was to recognize revolutionary Cuba. At that time, the Americans had totally isolated Cuba, revolutionary Cuba, in this hemisphere, and it was 4 CARICOM countries that said we are going to break the ice, and they did it. And so that was an expression of the collective foreign policy. So that was CARICOM, 1973, and then by the late 1980s, now we said, we need to get even deeper. So rather than just a common market with a common external tariff and so forth and free trade, we are going to go now to a single market and a single economy. That's the CSME, single market and single economy. So we're going to take the integration deeper. What we're going to try to do, this territorial space that all 15 of our countries collectively have, we're going to try to treat it as one single domestic space. So whether it is movement of people, movement of skills, movement of companies, movement of capital, we're going to try to treat it as if it is just, rather than 15 separate spaces, we're going to try to treat it as if it's just one space, so that we can operate easily and seamlessly and have a single market and a single economy. But the single economy is even taking it deeper, because the single economy says that we are going to kind of coordinate all our laws and regulations and finally we're going to get to the stage of having one single common currency, $1, but
Okay.
we have not reached that stage yet, but that is the ultimate objective. So this essentially is CARICOM. It is not unlike the Federation, which was a political union.
Okay.
Where we had all the territories had come together to establish one nation. CARICOM is not that, because we still remain Jamaica, Barbados. We remain separate nations. But it is an integration mechanism where, although we don't give up our sovereignty as a nation, yet we come together to integrate, to cooperate, to share, to work together, and that's basically the CARICOM enterprise that we have. Sometimes it works well. It works better in some areas than in other areas, but I think the thing that we can say is that it has survived. It is still here. We started with CARIFTA in 1968, and so over 50 years now, we are still here. I would say that of all of the integration structures in the world, I would have to put CARICOM at least second in the world. We might say, okay, the European Union might be ahead of us in terms of they've put together their integration process, but I can't think of any other integration structure internationally other than perhaps the European Union, and they have had problems with their Brexit. We haven't had any Brexit.
Exactly.
We haven't had any get away. So we have to give ourselves some credit.
Definitely.
It is not perfect. It is not perfect, but we have done relatively well.
Absolutely.
And we can go on to discuss. I think right now we have a situation on our hands, the COVID-19 pandemic,
yeah. True.
which brings out the importance of CARICOM and the importance of us working together. But
solidarity. We need solidarity now.
Yeah. Yes. But I'll stop there and let you come back in and any questions you want to.
Just a follow up on what you're saying now about the integration or whatever. At some point in time, it was agreed to have a single passport. How that works and what benefits or not do carry and people get from that?
Well, right now we don't have a single passport right now, but what we do have, we have the passport on which the CARICOM emblem is inscribed.
Yeah.
So if you look at your passport, and I'm here looking at mine. At the
It
top
have
of the
those CC on it at the top.
Yeah, right. And Caribbean community,
yeah.
and that we have Barbados. So every CARICOM country has the same type of passport where you are emphasizing both CARICOM and your individual country. And incidentally, we just took a decision that at all of the embassies and high commissions of our countries, that from the 4th of July of this year, all of our embassies and high commissions are going to fly both the CARICOM flag and the national flag of the country. But to get back to your point,
wonderful.
that's a good development, because it will project the image of CARICOM all over the world, wherever these embassies are.
Yeah.
But to get back to your point, yes, obviously the ultimate idea would really be if we could just have one passport. But again, that's something we would really have to work towards, because a passport is really a national document. I mean, you only get a passport if you are a citizen of the country. So I think what we have done so far is to try to have the best of both worlds. So you still have your Jamaican passport, but imprinted on that Jamaican passport is also the Caribbean community identity.
Okay.
And Yeah, and what has gone with that is that we have this regulation now right across the region that once you are carrying the passport of a member state of CARICOM, that you are automatically entitled to a 6 month stay
Yeah,
in
yeah.
any CARICOM country,
Mm-hmm.
and that the only way you can be refused in any CARICOM country is if you are a threat to national security,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a criminal, or
A
if
terrorist.
you are in danger of being a drain
Mm-hmm.
on the public purse of the country. That is, you're going to come to the country and you don't have any resources to maintain yourself, and you're going to end up on the welfare system and so forth. But outside of that, no country has the right no immigration officer has the right to refuse you, and they must give you 6 months stay. And there was a Jamaican woman, Shanique Myrie,
Yes.
remember, who had a bad
Yes.
experience
Yes.
in Barbados. And as a result of that experience, she took a case to the Caribbean Court of Justice,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of our CARICOM institutions that we established. And she won her case, and her judgment was very, very important because the judges of the Caribbean Court of Justice used her case to spell out in detail what are the rights of CARICOM citizens in terms of traveling across the region. So the immigration authorities now understand clearly, what they are required to do.
Mm-hmm. My follow-up question is on the currency. Will we ever get to that stage where we'd have like that one currency?
Well, that's the end. That's the final stage.
Mm-hmm.
That is the final stage, right? Because to get, for example, the European Union,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that has led to a lot of instability in the European Union is because of that currency.
Okay.
And you have the euro.
Yeah, the British wasn't gonna give up their pound.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but you remember when they had the crisis with Greece and
Yes.
Italy
Oh yes.
and
Oh,
Spain,
yes.
right? Because
Yes.
what you had these countries agreeing that they're going to have this euro, but in order to maintain a stable currency, then every country has to be following sound financial policies and practices. Now, if you have one or two countries who are not following sound financial policies and practices agreed upon,
Mm-hmm.
and then they create a lot of instability in the whole system, right? And they had to try to bail out Greece and Italy and so forth. So to bring that back to the Caribbean situation, the economists tell us that before we can get to a common currency, that we have to so coordinate our financial policies, our fiscal policies, and make sure that no one country runs up tremendous government debt that will put negative pressure on the common currency and that kind of thing. You see, so that's why I say the common currency is the final step in the whole edifice.
Yeah.
Because before you get there, you have to so integrate all of your financial policies and regulations and have agreement between the countries as to how much fiscal debt you're going to incur, and in order to keep that whole financial system stable. And so we are not there yet. In fact, I would say we are still struggling with fully establishing the single market and single economy. I think that this is one of the challenges for CARICOM, because we are making progress, but very slowly. So, I like to be very frank This is one of the areas that we are finding very challenging. But CARICOM kind of goes in. It has its ups and its downs. The truth is that the CSME, that project, the Single Market and Single Economy, Barbados has responsibility for that aspect of CARICOM's agenda. You know, we have this thing in CARICOM where you have various prime ministerial subcommittees.
Yeah.
So in different areas, different prime ministers lead. So in the area of the CSME, Barbados has the leadership of that. So the Prime Minister of Barbados is the chairman of a subcommittee of prime ministers who take responsibility for the CSME. And I mean, the truth is that, you know, we had a change of government in Barbados 2 years ago. And I would say that the previous government really did not do well in really pushing the CSME. I want to speak very diplomatically, but with the change of government, we now have a very, very dynamic prime minister.
Much more energy. Yes.
Oh yes. Mia Motley. And so she has brought a whole new dynamism to pushing this SME agenda. And we are seeing a lot more progress over the past 2 years. So sometimes these things depend on very subjective factors. Who are the leaders in place, how energetic they are, you know, how committed they are. But we are, suffice to say that she has been like a breath of fresh air in CARICOM since coming on board 2 years ago. And we are seeing a new energy, a new enthusiasm to pursue the CARICOM agenda now.
That is very good, very good to hear. Could you touch on what is it called now? Coming to I've been like, we have CARICOM now, but within CARICOM there's another group that is functioning.
Oh, you mean
that's the ACS?
OECS, yes.
The OECS. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the OECS are basically the small nations of the Eastern Caribbean. The big countries in CARICOM are Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Barbados. Those were the traditional big four.
The big four.
And then had Belize joining, 5. Then we had Suriname joining, 6. And Haiti joining, 7. And we had the Bahamas joining, 8. But the other countries now are the smaller Eastern Caribbean countries: St. Vincent, Dominica, St. Lucia, Antigua, St. Kitts, and so forth, Montserrat. So at the very commencement of CARICOM, there was a recognition that you had these bigger countries which were regarded as the more developed countries, the MDCs, and then you had the smaller countries which were regarded as the lesser developed countries, the LDCs. So from the very outset, it was recognized that you would have to have some special preferential arrangements for the smaller countries so that they are not unduly disadvantaged. So it started with that, and then these smaller countries institutionalized it. They say, okay, well, we are considered the LDCs within CARICOM, the lesser developed countries. Let us institutionalize that by establishing our own organization that will not be in conflict with CARICOM, but will operate within the parameters of CARICOM. So they have their OECS, they have their own secretariat, they have their own some of their own programs which don't conflict with CARICOM. They complement CARICOM, And they've done quite well. They have their own, rather than each little country having its own dollar, they have just $1 among them, and they've operated it well because it has been stable. So they have been able. Yeah. So they have been able to get to that level of collaboration between themselves, and they've done it quite well. The only thing I would say is that because they have these two integration mechanisms, these countries are required to pay two sets of dues every year. So whereas Jamaica and Barbados, for example, we pay every year, we pay our dues to CARICOM, for the running of CARICOM. But these OECS countries, they have to pay dues both to CARICOM and to the OECS. Yeah. So that's the only downside, that because they are members of two organizations, it means they have to finance two organizations. And sometimes the discussion has come up in CARICOM circles as to whether it would not make more sense to just fully integrate the OECS into CARICOM, so that
as a one unit, as
a one thing, yeah, and there will be there will be some cost savings for them, but they are somewhat ahead of CARICOM in that they have a deeper integration because their relationships are so close. These islands, physically, they're close to each other. The people know each other well, so it's very close, But yeah, CARICOM could learn some things from them. So there may be a case to be made to just bring the two things, merge the two things fully, and let CARICOM really take on some of the more advanced aspects of their OECS arrangement, But I was making the point earlier because I think we need to zero in on the challenges that we are facing right now. I was making the point earlier that one of the arenas in which to see the value of CARICOM is in relation to this COVID-19 pandemic that we are now facing.
And also the hurricane season.
Yeah, sure. But if we just look at COVID for a while, you would notice that analysts all over the world are saying that the region of the world that has perhaps done the best in terms of dealing with COVID is the Caribbean region.
Yes, so far.
Unlike other places where this thing has gotten out of hand and has killed a lot of people, in the Caribbean we have managed to pretty much control it well, and that is because we have an integration mechanism. From the time that virus broke out in China, our regional organization, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, which is headquartered in Trinidad and Tobago, they have been on the job. So they were monitoring this thing. The CARICOM has various councils. One of the councils is the Council for Social and Human Development. That is a council that brings together all of the ministers of health of the various territories, as well as the chief medical officers of the various territories. So that council started to meet, and it met with the CARPHA, Caribbean Public Health Agency. It had the input of CDEMA, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, another one of our institutions. And they began to plan for this pandemic, way back in January. And so we have kind of worked out a regional approach, how to deal with it. We have discussed it among ourselves. We have planned it. In fact, right now, as we speak, there's a meeting going on of the chief medical officers of CARICOM. Right now, they're having a meeting, and what they're doing at that meeting is there's a collective approach now to securing and purchasing medical supplies for the entire region. So we're doing it collectively.
Good.
Yeah. So that collaborative approach is why one of the main reasons why we have done so well in managing the public health aspect of COVID-19. Now, the other challenge we are going to have is the social aspect of COVID-19. Because, as we know, most of our territories depend on tourism, and the tourism industry has totally collapsed. So the truth is we now have a very serious economic crisis on our hands. And it is going to be very challenging for the individual territories, but also for CARICOM, because even at the best of times, to finance CARICOM, to finance the Secretariat, to finance the various institutions of CARICOM is always a struggle for our member states. We are not wealthy countries, so we are always fighting our way. And now that you have this economic collapse, this crisis, it is going to put tremendous pressure not only on our various nations, but it's going to put tremendous pressure on our capacity to finance the integration structures. But again, the only way out of this is by collective action. And and I think we recognize this. So the prime ministers are trying. They're trying to work together. They have tried a unified approach to these international financial institutions, the IMF and the World Bank and so forth, to say to them with one voice that we need greater assistance. Some of these policies that you all have in place that are unfairing us. For example, they call us middle income countries, which is nonsense. Yep. Because they say based on GDP, this artificial measurement that gross domestic product, which don't make any sense, right? They say, well, because you all have high GDP, you all are not entitled to grants or concessionary financing on easy terms. And we are saying nonsense. We are small island countries, very vulnerable to hurricanes. We could be devastated by a single hurricane. This pandemic has collapsed our tourism industries. So, but the point is, we are approaching these institutions, or we are trying to, as a collective, because we know that if we approach them in this way, we carry more strength and we have a greater chance of making a breakthrough with them. But it is going to be a challenge for us now to see how we can maneuver our way through this economic crisis. And so I think all of us need to be aware of this, that now more than ever, I think we are going to need the collaboration and cooperation rather than people breaking, countries breaking for themselves. I think we will be well served to emphasize the Caribbean integration approach now, rather than to abandon it.
True, absolutely true. I was reading a report since you mentioned about the pandemic and how well the Caribbean countries have been managing it. There was a news came out yesterday, and it was saying that the Caribbean registered recently almost 250,000 new infections, and they were saying that in order for us to overcome it, we need to redouble our effort and deal with the pandemic, as how you mentioned it early, as one solidarity.
Well, I think for example, I think that in Barbados we have controlled it well. In Barbados, we have had about 90 something cases.
Whoa.
In total,
Yes.
we have had seven deaths,
Mm-hmm.
and we have had a whole set of people who have recovered. We have just a handful of people now
That's good.
in the isolation center. I think Jamaica approached it quite well too. I think the one mistake that probably was made in Jamaica was with those the call center.
The call center, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yes, because up to that point, you really
everything.
you had it well.
Dynamic completely.
Yeah, you had it well under control. So the call center, Suriname, for example, I just came back from Suriname. I was a part of the CARICOM election observer mission in Suriname. They just had a general election, and since the election, they've had an upsurge in cases. Right at the time of the election, they only had one active case of COVID in Suriname.
Yeah.
But since the election, they've had a big upsurge, right? And that's because
people went out.
yes, inside the polling stations, they were very disciplined. They had all the social distancing and the hygiene and the wiping down of everything and all of that. Mm-hmm. But outside the polling station, when people were lining up to vote,
that's where the problem
people
occurred.
They just massed together. So we've had one or two setbacks, but I think generally speaking, all of the CARICOM countries, the only one I would have some real reservations about is Haiti. I am not sure about Haiti. I mean, they haven't reported
we haven't seen any numbers yet from
set
them.
of cases, but I don't know to what, I mean, they have a population of 11 million people, and they have a lot of people living in very, very poor circumstances, with very little access to health care. So I am not, I would not be overly confident about the situation in Haiti. But every other country, even though Jamaica had that unfortunate setback, I think every other country really has done quite well. And I think it's a tribute to the sense of responsibility with which we approached it, that we were proactive and sensible. And I think so. We have to give ourselves some credit. But now comes the other part, which is the economic side of it. Yeah. And that is where we are going to be very severely challenged.
The reopening of the economies then in the region.
We know that we can't just keep shut down indefinitely, because we also have to earn a living. We have to earn our way. But with the collapse of the tourism, and it's going to take some time for the tourism to get back on its feet. Yeah. In the meantime, how do we survive? One of the things we are trying, as I said, one of the things that we have, we put a CARICOM agriculture and food security task force in place.
That sounds
good. So we're working on that. We brought together our ministers of agriculture, and the task force is being led by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Minister of Agriculture, Minister Saboto Caesar. He's the chairman. And so they have put together a plan to increase food production. We also have the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, CARDI. So we have these capacities. It's not that we are helpless.
Absolutely.
So we are trying. We are trying. The task force has come up with a plan. I know they're trying to get funding from various international institutions. So, but this is going to be our greatest test. How can we hold our nerve? How can we not panic? How can we, keep our unity and come up with economic projects and ideas that we help each other to get through this difficult crisis? Yeah, and this is good. This is going. I think COVID is going to be the greatest test of the strength
Of the
of
Caribbean.
CARICOM.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yes, it's going to be a real
Yeah.
test.
that's
Yeah.
true.
hmm Yeah,
It would be
and
nice if we
well,
become the food belt of the region for the
yeah,
North American. The Caribbean
well,
become the food belt.
there's so much we can do because there's Guyana and and Suriname
Hmm.
are really massive territories, and there's tremendous agricultural potential
Yeah.
in those two territories. Um, Barbados, we have an agreement with Suriname where the Surinamese has provided the Barbados government with a certain area of land in Suriname. And
Wow.
the plan is we are going to send in Barbadian farmers
Wow.
to produce food in Suriname that would then be shipped to Barbados.
Wonderful
And
idea. That's a wonderful
yeah,
idea.
That's how we have to move, right? And
Because
we have in Barbados, we have something called the black belly sheep, right? The black belly sheep is a very valuable sheep. It produces good mutton, good meat. Also produces, good leather,
Okay.
and it doesn't need a lot of food supplies to survive on. It can survive in very difficult terrain. So we want to produce 1 million black belly sheep, but
That's
to
good.
produce 1 million black belly sheep in Barbados, you would have to turn the whole island into a sheep farm.
Yes.
Because we don't have the land space. But we could easily do that in Suriname.
Wow.
And Suriname
Okay.
wouldn't even miss they wouldn't even miss the land, right?
The
The
space, yeah.
country is so big.
Wow.
So that's the idea, right? That's the idea we are pursuing, and that's really taking CARICOM and Caribbean integration to the level that it needs to be at, where we really should be coming together to develop regional industries.
Yeah.
How do we pool our resources and develop new industries, new structures of production. So if as we respond to this crisis, even just taking the area of food, agriculture and food, if we could really come together and develop a very strong regional food industry, that is showing us the way forward.
Yeah, our guest mentioned that yesterday. So the Caribbean should come together and start doing agriculture and to supply the region and even North America as well, because we have the resources can do it. We might not have enough land space in each country, but we can, once we come together, because that's why the CARICOM was formed. So we work together. But the question I want to ask you, is Cuba still in CARICOM? Are they still a member?
Cuba.
Yeah.
You said Cuba?
Cuba? Yeah.
No, but Cuba was never a member of CARICOM, but we have a very close. CARICOM has a very close and good relationship
Okay.
with Cuba, and in fact, we have I can't remember if it's I think it's triennial. Every 3 years, we have a CARICOM Cuba summit.
Okay.
Where the prime ministers or the president of Cuba they meet. It's usually held in December to commemorate the date on which the 4 CARICOM countries recognized Cuba, and the Cubans will never forget that, because our country showed a lot of courage at the time. Remember, we were just newly independent countries. We were the smallest countries in this Western Hemisphere, the smallest independent countries in this Western Hemisphere. And the United States had so bullied the whole hemisphere.
Yeah, you guys took them on.
They had gotten Cuba thrown out of the Organization of American States, and they had bullied every country in this hemisphere, well, with the exception of Mexico and Canada, but to sever all relations with Cuba. So Cuba was isolated. Everybody was afraid.
Yeah, of doing
And
business with them. Yeah.
these four small Caribbean countries, when the OAS said to them, and the American State Department said to them, don't have anything to do with Cuba. Our leaders said, no, you don't. We are independent. You don't decide for us.
True.
Who we can have relations with.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
And they had
well.
the good sense to say, we are doing it, all four of us together. You see, and that's the strength of unity. Because if they had done it separately, then you're much more vulnerable.
Yeah.
But as a united bloc. But the Cubans have never forgotten that. I have had conversations with Fidel Castro, and I can tell you, how much that meant to them. Because once we had done it, then all these bigger countries then got the courage that they could do it too.
Yeah, because I think Canada opened up at that time and started to trade with them.
Everybody opened up. Everybody opened. So we broke the ice, right?
Yeah.
And so as a result, and every year, the Americans have this blockade on Cuba, and every year the Cubans bring a resolution in the United Nations condemning the blockade, and the CARICOM countries always
defending it,
support Cuba. Yeah, we always support Cuba, and so we have this beautiful relationship. In fact, in an important part of our response to COVID was that 9 of our countries made arrangements with Cuba to send in Cuban medical teams. Yeah, man.
Yes,
so we have 100 nurses. We have 100 nurses right here in Barbados, and I know you have a big team in Jamaica as well. So the relationship between CARICOM and Cuba is very close, and is very firm. I still think, though, that there's a lot more we can do with Cuba. There's a lot more I think we could collaborate on, and especially economically and developing things. And but yeah, we do have a relationship.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad it's still solid. That's what we call solidarity. When it comes,
two of my major problems.
Go ahead, Flavius. Go ahead, Flavius. Seems like he's having some problem. When it comes,
go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to say like education in the region, right? We know that's the big four. Barbados is ahead of the big four in the region, right? When it comes to education, what are some of the challenges that our youths now face at this going through the pandemic? Because we know exams and all these things, the Caribbean exams. Some students in other countries are having problems because we call it devices and internet connection. What are some of the way we can solve this?
Well, it's some countries are better equipped to do the electronic teaching than others. I know in Barbados we are basically doing the electronic teaching, all in secondary schools. But Barbados is a small, well connected up country, and a lot of penetration of these electronic devices, computers and laptops and the rest, tablets and so forth. And so we have done quite well. I know the University of the West Indies has tried to be very helpful because they have amended their entry requirements, and so they're allowing students in to UE come September, even if they don't get a chance to sit these
Exams.
final CAPE exams and so forth, they're letting them in on the basis of their previous last year's work.
Good,
For
good,
example,
good.
they're going to judge them on that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's still difficult to say. I think they're all trying to grapple with the challenge of how to reopen the schools. What I can tell you is that the education ministers do meter. Because if you understand the structure of CARICOM, at the very top of the structure is the conference of heads of government. So the heads of government, the prime ministers, they meet. They're the highest decision-making body, and they meet. Traditionally, they meet twice a year, where you have two physical conferences twice a year. But since Ms. Motley came on board, she has been insisting that to meet twice a year in this modern era is ridiculous, that you have to be meeting much more often.
Okay.
So they've been having more regular meetings using video conferencing technique, right?
Yeah.
But that is the highest decision-making body. Then under that, you have the various organs of CARICOM. And this is where you have the various councils now. So you have the Council for Trade and Economic Development. That is where the council now brings together the ministers of trade and economic affairs of the various member states. You have the Council for Foreign and Community Relations. That's where you bring together the ministers of foreign affairs. You have the Council for Human and Social Development. Several councils. Now, the Council for Human and Social Development, you would have the education component of it. This is where the ministers of education now and the chief education officers, for example, they come together. Or you would have the health component. That's where the health ministers come together. So under the Council for Human and Social Development, the education component of it, the ministers of education and the chief education officers, they have been meeting and they have been discussing this whole situation with the school situation and so forth. So they've been trying to coordinate and approached it, but of course you can't totally coordinate because different countries have different capacities, and what might be appropriate for one country might not work for another one.
True, yeah.
And so it is going to be difficult. But aside, over and above just the challenges to education of COVID, I think one of the areas that is key to the success of CARICOM is the whole area of education and training. And one of the major CARICOM projects is something called the CARICOM Skilled Nationals Program, and this is a program that is part of the CSME. And what this program is that it says that, look, any CARICOM national who has qualification in these areas of skills that we think are priority skills for the region, they will have the right to travel to any member state to live and work indefinitely in that member state without the need for any work permit.
Wow, that's good.
So So right now we have about 12 areas of skills that have been identified, and some of them are very broad because one area is university graduates. Any university graduate has the right to be part of the CARICOM Skilled Nationals program, or even associate degree holders. People who go to like the community college and they get an associate degree. They have that right. Artisans
That's
with
wonderful, man.
certain
That's wonderful.
certification, right?
Yeah.
So now, and so to me, this is a very beautiful program
Mm-hmm.
because it is something that we could get behind to really encourage our young people
Mm-hmm.
to take their education seriously. Because
Exactly.
we are saying to them, look, if you take your education seriously, if you get your certification in these areas, you get that certificate. You now qualify for a CARICOM skill certificate, and
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the right to move all across this region. Nobody can ask you any questions. You can live and work. You don't need any work permit. So I love this. I love the program,
Oh yeah.
and I try to promote it in Barbados. Try to encourage the young people.
Mm-hmm.
The only CARICOM country that does not participate in this skills national program is the Bahamas.
Oh, okay.
So they have opted out.
Mm-hmm.
But any CARICOM national that has the skill certificate, and you don't even have to get the skill certificate in your home country.
Okay.
You could travel. A Jamaican, for example, could travel to Barbados
I
as
get it.
a normal visitor,
Mm-hmm.
and can go to our Barbados Accreditation Council, um, show their qualifications,
Mm-hmm.
and they can get the skill certificate right here in Barbados.
Okay. That's good.
And so yeah. So this is something that we really need to push. I think Jamaica has embraced it quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you have even some areas that some of the other you have embraced it, particularly in relation to the training of artisans and the certification of artisans,
Mm-hmm.
and even domestic people involved in domestic work, because people involved in domestic work can qualify as well,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to have a certificate, what we call a CVQ, a
Okay.
Caribbean Vocational Qualification. And of all the CARICOM countries,
Mm-hmm.
the only country that is organized to offer domestic workers a Caribbean Vocational Qualification certificate in domestic work is Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So you have taken it
Yes,
very seriously, yeah.
yes, through art NTA. Yes.
Hmm hmm
I
Yeah, but
I get a question here. Somebody text me a question.
mhm.
Are we putting into place in the Caribbean security measures to deal with drugs and crime?
Yes, man. In fact, the
I'm
newest
surprised. I'm surprised I
the
get this one.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. The newest the last council that was established. Remember I spoke about the Council for Human and Social Development and Trade and Economic Development and so forth. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
the baby of the councils, the last one that was established, is the Council for National Security and Law Enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that is a council that brings together now the attorneys general and the ministers of national
Security.
security and
Okay.
so forth, right? But in addition to the council, we have institutions. We have CARICOM institutions that are established to take care of the security of the region. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we have an institution called the Caribbean Implementing Agency for Crime and Security Impacts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's headquartered in Trinidad and
And
Tobago.
to wait. Okay.
So we have impacts. Then we have a regional information system that is right here in Barbados. We also have the regional security system,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a military component.
Okay.
And under the kind of work that impacts and the information infrastructure that exists in Barbados is we have, for example, the Advanced Passenger Information System.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a computerized system. Anytime an airline is flying into our region,
Okay.
even before that plane lands, the immigration authorities already have advanced information about the passengers on board.
Okay.
You know, whether they have criminal
Or
records,
not,
whether
yeah.
they're on any Interpol watch
I
list
figure
or
that. I
anything
figure
like
that because I've seen it at the Miami airport, and I figure it. You know, by the time
Yeah,
you
man.
get to
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
destination, some things happen. You wonder, how did they know about this? You're right.
Already know.
Yeah.
It's called APIS, the Advanced Passenger Information System. We also have the Advanced Cargo Information System. So even in relation to cargo coming into the region. So these CARICOM institutions are not very well known across the region. Some people don't even know about CARICOM impacts, for example.
Yeah.
Right? But these institutions do very, very important work in terms of keeping the whole region, safe.
And sharing information.
Yes.
Good,
So
good.
that security infrastructure is definitely in place, right?
All right.
One of the points I have made to all of the CARICOM institutions, because as I told you, we have 18 institutions. They belong to us. You know, I give you an example. I spoke about the Caribbean Agricultural Development Institute.
Yeah, that's right.
We have the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency.
Yeah.
We have the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center. That's located in Belize. Caribbean Examinations Council, the Caribbean Agricultural Health and Food Safety Agency. That's in Trinidad. The Caribbean Center for Development Administration. But that's right here in Barbados, and the head of it is a Jamaican. Caribbean Court of Justice. That's in Trinidad. The Caribbean Meteorological Organization. That's here in Barbados. Caribbean Public Health, and I can go on and on.
Yeah.
Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism. That's in Jamaica. And then, so we have 18 of those. And then we have the associate institutions of CARICOM, Caribbean Development Bank, University of the West Indies, University of Guyana, Caribbean Congress of Labor, the Caribbean Private Sector Organizations, the Secretariat of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. But the point, last year, I wrote to all of these institutions, and I said to them, look, one of the reasons our integration movement is not as strong as it should be in the consciousness of the people of the region is because a lot of our people don't even know you exist as an institution. And sometimes even when they know you exist, they do not know that you are a part of the CARICOM structure. Or if they know that you're part of the CARICOM structure, sometimes they don't know what you do and what role that you are playing in helping to advance the region. So I said to all of them, look, your job, okay, let's say the Caribbean Court of Justice, your job as the Caribbean Court of Justice can't be only to run a court system. You also have to take upon yourself a job of communicating to the Caribbean people about your institution, who you are, what you do, and what contribution you are making to the betterment of the lives of the Caribbean people, right?
Yeah.
And if all of the institutions did that, if all of the institutions had, it could just be a little office, but some little office within the institutions whose mandate it is to communicate to the Caribbean people, to share information, to engage in public education. And if you had that coming from 25 different institutions, then what you would be doing is developing an ideology of regionalism in the Caribbean people, because you will be giving them the information that they require to see this Caribbean integration movement and to appreciate it and to internalize it. So just as that caller or that person who texted you was inquiring about whether we have a security apparatus, yeah, we have a very comprehensive security apparatus in place, but it's for those institutions to do the job of communicating to the Caribbean people about their existence and about the work that they're doing.
True.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
As you speak about communicating, is CARICOM looking at communication within the Caribbean?
you mean television and radio and so forth?
Or telephone,
yeah.
Telephone and internet.
Because
Okay.
No,
That's not it.
what is happening is that, I can call America or China for about $5 Jamaican.
Yeah.
And it cost me $17 to call Barbados.
Correct. Yes.
This network, which to me, it's totally ridiculous.
It is. And that's the point Miss Motley made when she came on board 2 years ago. This is ridiculous. We are talking about the region being one domestic space. But if the region is one domestic space, then it should be one rate for any telephone call, any cell phone call, right across the region.
Yeah.
So they've set up a special committee under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Keith Mitchell of Grenada. And that committee is negotiating with the telecommunication companies, the Digicel and Flow and these people.
Yeah.
But that is our position. So we are telling them that it has to come down to treat the whole region as one domestic space. So I think that work is pretty far advanced, and I think you're going to see, the COVID thing has caused a lot of disruption. Many things we were doing, and we need to talk about our relations with Africa, because that's something that has been disrupted by COVID. But anyhow, soon from now, you should see the positive results of that common telecommunications policy for the entire region.
Wow.
But the other thing that we recognize we have to work on is mass media. We need to have something like a CNN of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Where 24/7 you turn on that TV, and you are getting news and information
all around the Caribbean. Yes.
About the region, right? Because we know Donald Trump. We know Donald Trump. We know his personality.
Yes.
We know his personality. We know him at a deep level. You know why? Because we see him so often
Every day,
on TV, right?
Yeah, every day.
Right?
Yes.
But if I ask you, do you know Prime Minister Roosevelt's character of Dominica? Do you know his character? Do you feel him? No, because you don't. You might see his picture every now and then in a newspaper article.
Yeah.
So we recognize that this is a need, and oh boy, this is something that would really go a long way to help to cement this integration movement. But they were. I tell you, they were working on it. They had a committee set up working on it, but for some reason, I think they came to some kind of impasse. Up to now, I'm not quite clear, because the committee was to report back to the heads of government with its work, and up to now, it has not reported back. So there's something that is holding up the project, but.
Yes.
All of us recognize that it is a must this is something that we really need if we are to take the integration to the level that it needs to be at.
Yes, survival. My other area is another vexed one also, which is travel.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to travel. Yeah, within the Caribbean. Yeah.
Well, let's deal with the cost first, right? The cost. Now, as you know, the price of these airline tickets, over half of that price constitutes government taxes. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody now recognizes that this was a mistake. When the governments first started applying these taxes to regional travel, everybody now recognizes that they made a mistake, because you do not want to jack up airline tickets within the region. You want our people to be able to travel, and you want to facilitate movement.
Absolutely.
But the issue now is so many countries, so many governments, their budgets now rely so much upon the revenue that they get from these airline tickets, that the question is, how can they remove those taxes without doing damage to the government budget? How can they find alternative forms of revenue, for example? So this is the issue. It's not that they don't recognize it's a mistake. Everybody now agrees it was a mistake. It was a mistake to do it in that way. But how do you correct it now without damaging the government budget, and not having the resources to do critical things that you need to do? So again, sometimes you have a difficult problem to say, well, set up a committee to look at it. So in fact, that's what they did. They set up a committee, and the committee was supposed to report back by the end of 2019. And we have not heard from the committee yet. So it is a difficult issue. It's not that the prime ministers don't recognize it. Everybody recognizes it, but how to solve it, that is the problem. And of course, the other issue is maritime transportation, because at least we have Caribbean Airlines, we have Liat, and so forth. I think Caribbean Airlines now operates Air Jamaica, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yes.
Basically, right? But anyhow, we have the airlines. I mean, we're still struggling with Liat, the financing of Liat, and trying to get it as efficient as possible. But we have the airlines. But what we don't have now is the maritime travel. We don't, and that's another thing that is lacking, because if you have some fast ferries up and down the islands,
yes,
even though the airline ticket might be so expensive, but if you were able to have the fast ferry, in fact, at the last Heads of Government conference that we had here in Barbados, we actually had a report on a project to develop a ferry system, and the thinking was that if you had the ferry system in place, then you could coordinate between the ferry system and the airlines to help to solve the problems of the airlines. Because part of the problem of the airlines, some of these like Liat, for example, it has to undertake certain routes that are not very lucrative, but the countries need it. So some of the little short haul routes where an airline really does not make a profit, because the amount of fuel it has to use for the plane to get into the air and then land half an hour later is not really economical. Most airlines make money on long routes, right? On long routes, not these little short routes. So the thinking is, if you had the ferry system, where the ferry system could take some of that pressure of those short, so the airline doesn't have to do so many of those little uneconomical short routes, for example, it would make it more economical. So that is something that is in the works. Again, Prime Minister Motley is very, very keen on the ferry system, so she is really pushing hard behind that, seeking out sources of financing for it. But those are things that would really advance our integration process. If we could have that CNN of the Caribbean, if we could have a system of fast ferries that transport not only people, but also goods, cargo.
Good. Yeah.
Your motor car, you drive your car onto the ferry in Kingston. And the ferry takes you down to, let's say, Antigua, and you drive off, and you go about your business in Antigua, drive your vehicle, and when you finish it, you drive back onto the ferry, and it takes you to Kingston, right? So I mean, that's the idea. That's the level that we really need to get to, where it's like taking a bus within your own country. Travel across the islands becomes like hopping on a bus,
Okay.
and it's not unduly expensive. Yeah.
Wow.
So those are things that we are working on. But again, it comes back to the efficiency of our planning. The efficiency of our planning, and then having made the plans, then executing them. And this is our challenge, because I think we know the things that we really need, but it's how to have the planning mechanism to plan it properly, and then to execute those plans.
Flavius,
And
you would
the
love
other
the ferry.
Yeah,
My friend Flavius would love the ferry, not me.
The other aspect we need to discuss is the people now,
Yeah.
because quite often. Is CARICOM a people's institution? Is it rooted in the people? Is it sufficiently rooted in the people? Is it sufficiently connected to the people? Do the people have mechanisms for making input into CARICOM? CARICOM is supposed to have a charter for civil society, but it's never been implemented. It was established as long ago as 1997, a charter for civil society outlining the rights of the people right across the region, and creating a mechanism where if any government abuses those rights, that the heads of government will look into it, and people can make complaints if they feel that their rights are abused in any way. It existed since 1997. It's never been implemented.
Oh.
Each CARICOM member state is supposed to have an institution called the BLAC, the Business, Labor, and Civil Society Consultative Committee. But the BLAC is supposed to be a national committee that would include representatives of the business sector, the trade unions, and the civil society organizations, to be available to receive information from CARICOM, to make their inputs, right? To be consulted, to share their inputs. But I came to this post as ambassador and realized that almost no country had established the BLAC. So I established it in Barbados. But the point is, we need those structures to be in place if we're really going to make CARICOM work in the way that it should work.
Yeah.
So the people, it has to be rooted in the people, right? As CARICOM ambassador, I do a weekly program on live TV in Barbados every Monday morning.
Okay.
I'm on television in Barbados in something called Conversations on CARICOM. So I try to keep the Barbadian people updated, whatever is happening in CARICOM,
with the
to
BLAC.
keep them updated. Yeah. Well, no, this is just my job as CARICOM ambassador.
Okay.
It's my own. This is my own segment on TV. where I just, speak about developments in CARICOM and in the region. But in addition to that, there's the Black, which is an institution where you can meet formally and have consultation with representatives of the society. I also try to visit schools and talk to the students about Caribbean integration and so forth, right? But these are the things that we really need to do if CARICOM is going to be a people's organization rooted in the people of the region, and the people feel that it belongs to them. Yeah.
We're gonna do more of that on our program, because that's why we started this podcast to, inform people about what's happening in the Caribbean, and things that they didn't know is happening. So we're gonna do more now that we have you as our guest and telling us, some of the things.
Yeah, sure, man. I try to make myself available across the region.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking about people, what has become of CARIFESTA?
No, CARIFESTA goes on. The last one was in Trinidad. What was it? It was last year. It was they held it in Trinidad. So it happens every 2 or 3 years. You have CARIFESTA. The problem I find with CARIFESTA is not at the same level. I think that's what you mean. When you had it. You had it. The second CARIFESTA was in Jamaica
in
around 1976,
76,
right? It was fantastic.
76?
Yes.
It was glorious.
We had it in. Yeah, I know. We had it in Barbados in 1981, and it made a very big impact on Barbadian society, and a lot of good things in terms of cultural development came out of it. But now, I find that it is more a watered down version.
Low
and
key, very low.
It doesn't have the same impact as it had back then. So I think it really needs some rethinking, because back then the truth is you did not have the same kind of interaction at the artist level as you have now. I mean, you don't have to wait for CARIFESTA for you to hear a big Calypsonian from Trinidad, or for us to hear the Jamaican. We have all kinds of festivals now. We have reggae festival, reggae on the hill, and so forth, right? So this festival of the arts is not so unique anymore as it was back then. Back then, this was a very rare thing, but still, it can still have a bigger impact on the cultural development of the region. But I think it needs some rethinking. I think the people who plan it, I think they need to really rethink this thing. In the environment that we have now, what do you really want CARIFESTA to achieve?
Yeah.
And I think that part of the problem too, when CARIFESTA first started, it's centered around the writers, the thinkers.
Yes.
The writers, the thinkers, the intellectuals, the people who were dealing with ideas.
Yeah.
But now it has just come to be about, more about music, music and dance and so forth. Which I'm not discrediting that, but I'm saying that I think you still need to find. It must be a coming together of ideas, and serious critique, intellectual critique of this society and where we are, our thinkers,
Yeah, back then it was like that. Back then it was like that.
Yeah. It was. So to me, I was in Trinidad. I went. They had a symposium on reparations. I was invited to speak at. Just a little event within the main. It was like a side show. The symposium on reparations was like a side show, but really and truly, if it was operating the way it should be operating, the symposium on reparations should have been a big part of the festival. So it needs some rethinking, but it still exists, and so that's all part of the CARICOM structure. You have the CARIFESTA, you have the Carifta Games, you have the West Indies cricket team, So these are things that help to keep the sense of a common Caribbean identity strong. I think the Caribbean Games is such a wonderful institution,
Oh, yes.
bringing us together and bringing our young people together, That's all part of the integration movement, all part of that CARICOM structure.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
And I was saying we're doing the reach. We're now reaching out to Africa in a very, very serious way. In fact, we were supposed to have the first African Union CARICOM Heads of Government Summit on the 22nd of June this month. It was supposed to be happening this month in Nairobi, Kenya, but because of COVID, it has now been postponed. But there's a serious reaching out to Africa. You may know that the government of Kenya has made available, free of cost, for the next 2 years, a whole set of office space in Nairobi. And we're going to be, so the whole idea is for CARICOM to set up diplomatic offices in Nairobi, or even individual states to set up offices. Barbados is in the process of establishing an embassy in Ghana, and we also will be establishing one in Kenya. And so the opening up, the stretching out the hands to Africa is very serious now, and we're on the verge of really developing a solid relationship between CARICOM and the African Union.
That's
so
a good
good
move
things
right
are
there,
happening.
sir.
Good things are happening in good things are happening in CARICOM.
Yeah, that's a good
things
move
are
right
happening,
there, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Broaden that relationship with Africa, We need to start expanding our travel to Africa as well.
Yes, of course. We have to reverse the Middle Passage.
Yes.
We have to reverse the Middle Passage, and make that Atlantic into a little pond. Our brothers and sisters across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say somebody wants information on CARICOM. There's a website there available as well.
Yes, CARICOM has a website. Just Google it. It will come up. There's a website, but again, I think even that it needs to be further developed, in my opinion, made more attractive, easier to negotiate, made more attractive, especially for young people. I think that the communication aspect has to be emphasized more.
Should get somebody young to develop it then.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Get a student to develop it. Yeah.
Those are things we need to work on, I think to pay more attention to reaching out to our people and reaching our people with information so that they can participate more and feel that this is their institution. It belongs to them. That's what we have to aim for. Yeah.
On the matter on racism in the Caribbean. We don't hear about it that much, but I've heard people who travel say that they have experienced it, and it's something that they say we need to address or talk about it before it escalates, and which I don't think it's going to be something that escalates, because I think if it's in the Caribbean, it's a small bit. It's not
anti-black racism. Anti-black racism against black people?
I don't. Well, the person who mentioned it to me, was just telling me that when they travel, they experience it. And I'm saying maybe with immigration officer or with the people, because I have never experienced that.
No, I think racism. I think at the level of the immigration, you had immigration officers who sometimes treated the nationals of various countries in a very hostile and
yes, because
shabby manner, you know.
yeah,
So
I
so
experienced
we
that.
had
That's
that,
why
you
I
know.
said it to the person
But
with immigration. I
but
experienced that, but not with the
but
people, you
since
know.
the Shanique Myrie decision,
Hmm.
I think a lot of that has changed because
Okay.
you remember, as a result of that decision, the Barbados government had to pay
Yeah.
compensation to Shanique
Yeah.
Myrie. So a lesson was learned.
Okay.
And as a result of that decision, now immigration departments all across the Caribbean are better aware of how they're required to behave, that their rules and regulations, if they breach them, that their country could be taken to court, could be penalized. That
True.
you know
True.
people have rights. So I think you've seen a big improvement in how immigration departments all across the region have been conducting themselves since the Shanique Myrie case. That's the truth. And you know, sometimes it has to do with leadership too. You know, what messages the people down below are getting from the political leadership. You know, at the time in Barbados, you had a political leadership that was really Barbados for Barbadians, and a lot of illegal, so-called illegal Caribbean migrants were being deported from Barbados, particularly to places like Guyana and Jamaica to a less extent. You know, so but that was a lot of that was coming from the top political leadership.
Yeah.
And so the people down below pick up the vibe. If the people above, if that is the vibe that they're giving out, the people down below will pick it up, and it will then evidence itself in this kind of hostile behavior. But if you're getting the opposite message now, so in Barbados now, the message you're getting is no. These are our brothers and sisters. We want them.
Yeah.
We don't want to turn them away. We want them.
True. Somebody in the chat room said it's more like classism in the Caribbean and not racism.
Yeah, I wouldn't say race, but we do have problems of race. For example, in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, we have the Indian-African divide, and we see how that has played out in Guyana in recent months with the elections, and all tension and the fighting, and a lot of it centers around a racial separatism in Guyana, you know. So we do have problems. We still have some problems of race that we need to address. But certainly the African-Indian divide can be found in Guyana, in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think that issue really needs to be addressed. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by not being proactive and addressing it, because there are things that could be done to have greater understanding between these two communities, right? In places like Barbados and Jamaica, we would have the more traditional black-white issue, and maybe have come a long way, but there's still some work to be done. So you know, I would say that we are well advised not to pretend these things don't exist, not to over exaggerate them, but at the same time to deal with it. We still have some work to do in Barbados at the level of black-white relationships. There's no doubt about that, and I think that in terms of CARICOM, though, one way of CARICOM addressing some of these things is if that CARICOM Charter of Civil Society had ever been implemented, that would provide a framework for addressing some of these issues. It exists. If you Google CARICOM Charter of Civil Society, you will probably find it somewhere on the internet, on the CARICOM website. But it's never been implemented. And 23 years later, it is still to be implemented.
Okay.
So sometimes it's not that the work has not been done or the idea has not been thought of, but sometimes it's a lack of implementation. You know. Yeah.
As citizens of the Caribbean, what role can we play to let people know more about Caribbean, the CARICOM Union?
Well, I think in a very practical way, you could reach out. You could reach out to your ambassador for CARICOM. Jamaica, most of the CARICOM countries, in fact, all of them, with the exception of Trinidad and Tobago and Haiti right now, because Haiti is in a period of instability, but they all have special ambassadors to CARICOM. So your ambassador is Ambassador Alison Stone Roof.
Okay.
And it would be good to make, in fact, the same way I'm on the program, on your program now, you could have a similar conversation with your ambassador to CARICOM. So the CARICOM ambassador is the first point of contact.
Yeah.
Your CARICOM ambassador, and that CARICOM ambassador could be, invited to give talks, to appear on media programs, whatever.
True.
I would also encourage the CARICOM ambassador, if the country has not yet established the Black Business, Labor, and Civil Society Council, Consultative Council,
right?
BLACK, Business, Labor, and Civil Society Consultative Council, to establish the Black, get that up and going, and that would be a mechanism for engaging with at least leaders of the society, and and beyond that, once you can establish a relationship with the CARICOM ambassador, then all kinds of programs you could collaborate on, all kinds of programs, from including outreaches to the school, to the young people. Because my idea is that if I can sell this Caribbean integration idea, or this CARICOM idea, to the young people, if I can sell this to them, then my job would be completed. The young people will take it and run with it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you.
With it, so I tell you some of the things I did recently, but COVID interrupted. I mean, we printed T-shirts.
Yeah.
That we were giving out. T-shirts that said "I am CARICOM."
Wow.
Little badges. I am CARICOM, and again, the CARICOM Secretariat in Guyana. We have our CARICOM headquarters is located in Georgetown, Guyana, and we have a secretariat there that administers CARICOM, but they have a program called I Am CARICOM, where they're trying to get this message out, all across the region, right? So we in Barbados, we took up this program, and we printed T-shirts and buttons, and started going out to the schools to give different talks. But the COVID thing has interrupted it.
Okay.
Yeah. But things like that, you could work with your CARICOM ambassador to do things like.
Is there a CARICOM Diaspora Association?
CARICOM Diaspora.
Yes.
Caribbean people in North America and Europe and so forth.
Yes. Because most countries now, like Jamaica, have diaspora.
Jamaica diaspora, but like a Caribbean.
No, I'm not aware of any mechanism that exists. But you're right. I mean, more and more we are coming to recognize that the people of the Caribbean diaspora are very important components of all that we are trying to do in the region. So, that's definitely an area to give some thought to as well.
And my
You
experience,
know? But I tell you what I do. What I suggest to my colleagues, because we all have embassies and high commissions. We all have high commissions in London. We all have embassies in New York and Washington and so forth. We always encourage the different high commissioners and ambassadors to come together in a CARICOM caucus in these capitals.
okay,
And and kind of work together.
Yeah.
So they and now that they will be flying from the 4th of July, they should all be flying the CARICOM flag
oh yes,
on the embassy. So they would be the natural parties to develop what you're thinking about, that interaction with the diaspora, because they're on the ground. They're on the ground in these cities. So
Yeah.
they would be the natural parties. So yes, that's something that could easily be done once we get them on board and working on it.
Mr. Ambassador,
My
before
experience-
we go, I have two questions from the chat room. And
Okay, go ahead,
one is about ask him about religious practice and prejudice in the Caribbean, and the second one is how about a Caribbean Economic Initiative program?
Yeah. Yes. Now, well, in terms of religious practice, again, all of that is outlined in the Charter for Civil Society, the religious rights of the people of the Caribbean. So this is why I'm saying it is a shame that Charter for Civil Society has never been implemented, and I really can't understand why. I only became aware of it really in any serious way when I became CARICOM ambassador. So I have asked my own government for some direction on this. I am in favor of us implementing it and leading CARICOM, taking the position. Let us lead CARICOM in putting this thing in place. But one of the things addressed in that document is this concept of the religious rights of the people of the region. But above that, I think we are a relatively enlightened region. There's a lot of religious and spiritual diversity and creativity within our region. Look at you in Jamaica, from Rastafari to Pocomania to various Baptist churches, in Barbados, Spiritual Baptist, Trinidad, Shango. We have been a very, very culturally creative people, and especially in the realm of spirituality, where we brought that African spirituality with us, and we preserved it even on the slave plantation, and it has taken form, new forms in the Caribbean, in the new environment. So in this relatively enlightened age, you remember back in the 70s, you had different governments that actually oppressed Rastafari.
Yeah.
In Dominica, you had Rastafarians actually being hunted by the police and the military and so forth. Very, very unfortunate. But I would like to think that we have gone way beyond that, and we should now be recognizing that these spiritual expressions are really some of the greatest achievements of our people, to be respected and really to be honored, So that's who we have. That's how we have to see ourselves, man. That's our history, and let's not forget let's not fail to mention that as part of the CARICOM project, we have the CARICOM reparations campaign, right? CARICOM is leading the world in terms of the pursuit of reparations. In 2013, our leaders, our prime ministers came together and said that they were going to pursue reparations from the governments of the European countries that were implicated in the slave trade and enslavement in the Caribbean and the genocide of the indigenous people. So we have the CARICOM Reparations Commission, which is headed by Sir Hilary Beckles, the Vice Chancellor of the university. We also have the CARICOM Reparations Research Center, which is headquartered at Mona campus, and that's headed by Professor Vereen Shepherd, a Jamaican woman.
Yeah.
And part of the reparations idea is a validation of our African culture, So this is very important, and this is the kind of consciousness we have to build in the region. This must be our consciousness, and this must be what we champion and what we exemplify to the rest of the world. So the first question was about
religion.
Spirituality. The second thing.
The second one about CARICOM Economic Initiative Program. Is there a CARICOM?
Oh yes. No. Well. Okay. I understand where the person is coming from, and this is the point I was making earlier. Yes. We have these councils. We have the Council for Trade and Economic Development, for example. We have the agricultural component of that. We have the trade component, and so forth. We have to make these councils work more efficiently and effectively. I have a problem with how some of these councils work. Sometimes the meeting, you have a million and one items on the agenda, all kinds of things. So you bring ministers sometimes to deal with a whole long agenda with sometimes some relatively trivial matters too that I don't think should even be coming to ministers. So I'm saying we have to do a kind of rethinking of these councils, because what you really want these councils to be doing is to be bringing together the top policy makers of CARICOM to really sit down and brainstorm some critical things, some critical projects that could take our community to a higher level. So I'm with I think this is what the questioner is driving at.
Yeah.
How do we, for example, come together to brainstorm, okay, let's say a Caribbean food plan, or to brainstorm how do we create a Caribbean fishing industry with not just fishing boats but canning facilities that we can the fish, and so we take this production now to a higher level. Now it all comes back to planning, economic planning, in my opinion, right? So I'm saying if we see it as a function that we have to do economic planning in a better and more effectively. I'm saying we already have the structure of the councils, but it's how to make some of these councils work more effectively to carry out economic planning that's required to develop, because this question is really driving at the development of regional industries. And we know that is one of the reasons for establishing CARICOM. The idea was that we will be developing regional industries. We will come together to pull our resources together to develop new regional industries. Now that calls for economic development planning. And I'm saying that the structure we have for that are the councils, but we have to be more deliberate and more serious about focusing them just on that. Try to remove all the other little extraneous things that clutter the agenda and get them really to focus on that. So, as I said, I just came on board with Prime Minister Motley 2 years ago. So these are the directions that we are working in. So I can't speak for or justify all that went before. But I'm telling you that this is our vision, and this is the kind of agenda that we have started to pursue over the last 2 years, and I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that this is the direction that we are going to go in, and that we are going to see some really substantial achievements. You know, COVID-19 has come at a bad time.
Yep.
But we can't allow that. We can't allow that to defeat us. We have to keep on track. But that is the kind of direction we're heading in.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, before I go, Flavius, before we go, do you have any more questions?
I really have to go.
Yes, sir. Well, we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and for being here with us. And we're going to look forward to having you with us again whenever you can make it. And we're definitely going to push forward and do some CARICOM work as well ourselves, because this is a Caribbean program. And we need, as a guest said, we should put all of these information in high schools and university so that we can get the students them involved more. So,
That's it. That's it right there. We would have won the battle if we can do that.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here.
Yes, thanks.
You guys worked me hard. I think about close to 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
But I enjoyed the engagement.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Good one.
You have a good
man.
day.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, man.
So there there it is, my listeners. You just heard from the man himself, the ambassador, His Excellency, Mr. David Comissiong. Now we're going to link up with Flavius in a few minutes, but before we get to Flavius, let me give you some music, and then we can link up with Flavius.
Every head of government to the earth is armed and dangerous. Armed, dangerous. Babylon armed, sir, armed and dangerous.
The ones who are grow it tell me this. Life is a test, learn as much from it. Don't get lost in the wilderness. Crows out there, them will eat your flesh. Oh yes. Oh yeah. To all the ones, you know. When you see a youth a sit down, tell him get up. Give up, we a tell them say no give up. The one them a feel help with them now with us. How them act so cruel and so vicious. It's like we no fear of nothing we precious. Them one way life is so hard than a citrus. Them said that we suspicious, through them see waiting and live up. Then too bad mind we have up on my status. When the journey gets so tough and you feel like giving up, I tell them sit down. Just tell me you won't stand up to the count. You're not going down. When the journey gets so tough and you feel like giving up, I tell you sit down. Just tell me you won't stand up to the count. You're not going out. Don't let the struggle in this time get you down. Pick up yourself from off of the ground. Life is an ocean, learn to swim or you drown.
Yes, my listeners, it's time for us to get out of here. Flavius and myself. So yes, Flavius, let's wrap it up and we get out because it was very interesting this morning.
Yeah, man, just very, very intriguing. Yeah, we got a lot of information that certainly I did not know. A lot of the stuff that was discussed, I did not know, you know. A lot of work is being done, but nobody is really saying so, you know. But I'm very happy based on what, you know, we were told, you know, a lot of work is being put into the Caribbean.
Yes.
I know that is my thing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a stern, you know, serious believer in the Caribbean.
We have to link up with the ambassador for Jamaica to the CARICOM.
Yeah, fine. You wrote down the name? So like a lady.
Yeah, no, you know, but it's on the program. I will take it off when I'm going back through the program. Yeah. And also if start the black thing, the business, labor and civil. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Plus
a lot of stuff have been set up. Some of them not working, but they are there to be worked, you know.
Oh yeah. It was very informative. Plus, you know, as well, I guess in the chat room said we need to push this more to high school and university students in the Caribbean.
They need to know about
as
it.
The ambassador
they need to know.
said, you know, he's just you know, doing his best to make it reach the young people. And
of course, he need help.
Exactly, and he would love young people to come on board. Because if know when that day come, you know, it will be, you know, effective, very effective.
Oh yeah.
This need the young people them to be a part of it, definitely.
To jump on it,
So now we see our aim and objective for this podcast as well. We have to move forward and push it.
It looking like it came at the right time.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean the COVID is a negative, but from them say you can't get positive out of negative, you know that. It's like the electricity, two negative can't get a positive. But when you look at how it drop on us, you know, as humans, then we definitely have to utilize it and make it work for us. So we're going to have to utilize this, you know, we have to turn it into a positive. So Flavius, let us wrap up and get out of here because we have work to get done. We have work to get done. So as always, I'm going to close. You know, you heard what our guest said today. You know, we have to get involved in the CARICOM so it can work for us as a people. So as always, remember, that prayer do changes things regardless of what religion you belong to. Continue to pray. Keep on praying. And this is Franco.
And this is Flavius saying, be safe, keep yourself safe as more societies are opening up, people are getting back out, so we don't have the comfort of our home most of the day now. So you know what to do. You have to keep up the social distancing, keep up the wearing of the mask. Hopefully we can get some mask that works for us. But we need to do these things to keep everybody safe. You, your family, friends, neighbors, strangers, let's keep it safe. So until tomorrow.
Tafina to take us out.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know I said me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away myself. I fi take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Shorty I cleave her eyes. I said, yeah. I find you very hard to resist. But this relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I play me, but soon you're gonna see the light of day. Just relax, don't move an inch. I'll be gone in a pinch. May I feel take away myself. May I feel take away myself. May I feel hide like a thief in the night. May I forget out of sight.